You can't swing a cat without hearing someone talk about how we have a crisis. We don't have enough high technology workers, people that can really understand and do complex things with systems, with algorithms, stuff like that, and it's true. We're graduating fewer and fewer of those students over the years. However, there is a resource, and in fact, they're right over that way. I'm going to say, since I almost walked it about 60 miles, the convention center. It's this thing called the Student Cluster Competition. And real quick, what this is, it's been going on since 2007, started with one small sort of experimental competition at SC, whatever it was, 2007, in Reno. What it is that college undergrads get together, they have a team, they get a vendor sponsor, and they put together the very fastest system they can, but they can only use 3,000 watts of electricity. It's enough to power 3.5 coffee makers. What can they do with that? A hell of a lot. In fact, in the last competition, which was in Germany in June, they broke 10 teraflops with a system that size. So anybody, that teraflop's a big deal for using 3,000 watts. These kids, and they are undergraduate kids, they do the project management to get their team together. They work with the vendors, they work with the software, they have team working and building skills. They work for probably 9 months or so to get these things together. Then they bring them to various venues. SC has had one of these competitions. There's one at the International Supercomputer Conference. It's been going 3 years now in Germany, and there's one in Asia, plus there's some regions that have these, and they compete with each other. There are 11 teams over there, or 12 teams over there right now, 6 kids per team that are working their hearts out to be able to best each other on these highly complex, real HPC science applications. So if you're looking for those kind of people to hire either as interns or to hire as full-time employees, they're there, and they're hungry. And they're doing this on their own time because they love it. And one of the people in the back of the room is Stephen Harrell, right there with his arm up. He's been the coach of the Purdue team who's participated, I think, a record 8 times in various cluster competitions. And he knows, if you need any details about how these things work, how to get a hold of the kids, how to have a partnership with the university computer science department, how to harness these skills. Steve can help out with that. I can help out with that. I also run a website, studentclustercomp.com, that does this, that we cover all these competitions, and you'll see writing and video in the register.com by me on this. Is there anything I missed? To me, it's just all caffeine and babble at this point.
I think that covers it, unless anyone has any specific questions.
Questions, comments, complaints? Yes, of course. Shaheen, in the back.
So as Dan said, one of the reasons we wanted the teachers to even touch it down is that it is like a mini startup.
Yes. And it's college kids on their own time doing this. Yes. Yeah. They are in some demand, but it's a great resource. And by the way, you can work with the universities. They would be, I think, more than happy to work with any private company on projects. I know Purdue has a program for that. Yes, question in the back.
Which teams won the FC and IFC for last 2 years?
Got 2 dynasties in the making. And actually, okay, I'm going to shoot over a tiny bit. Make a note of that, Sydney. I'm shooting over a tiny bit. South Africa,
Yes.
not a school, not an area that's known for supercomputing, right? Not an area that's known for having a lot of research institutions. What they did is Happy Sitoli, who is one of the preeminent HPC people in that area, he saw one of the student cluster competitions 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. He said, we want to do this. So they put together a small, just a regional cluster competition, 6, 8 schools, small schools. These kids not only didn't know HPC, they didn't know PC in a lot of cases. And they had a small competition that was sponsored by Dell, who provided all the hardware for them to use. And they put together a team and worked with Gilad Shaner from Mellanox and got into the ISC competition. They're going up against teams that, the Chinese powerhouse teams, to where this is a national pride thing. And they send a team from what that time was the largest supercomputer in the world, NUDT, which works out on the Tianyi 2 and Tianyi 1 systems. They were there. Teams that had won multiple times before, they were there. South Africa beat them. They didn't do it because they had better hardware, they did it because they outworked them. So that was a lightning strike, and that was a shock throughout the entire student cluster competition world. It was a earth-shaking blow to have this team come out of nowhere. So then next year, they bring me down to South Africa in December because I wanted to see what they were doing. And I actually talked to all the kids, and what they have a policy, no kid gets to do it twice because they want to spread the skills around as much as possible. So the kids that were on the winning team before, they were the mentors to the new ones and helped put the competition on. So these were complete neophytes in computing because their universities didn't have any HPC resources. So they put together a team, they did their little cluster competition, it was really neat to see, and they go to ISC and they win again by a larger margin. This matters, this makes a difference, and it's changing perceptions in an entire country that I've seen close up about what they can do, and that they've learned this and gotten to that level within 8 months from when they start. Now, in the US, Texas Austin has built their own dynasty. They're going for a three-peat, unprecedented, I say it again, unprecedented three-peat in winning the overall championship. And if you go over to the supercomputing event in the convention center, you can see all the teams doing this right there live, and they will talk to you and they will tell you what they're doing. That's part of what they're graded on, is outreach. And it's a 48-hour clustering marathon. So 24/7 for 2 days. So anyway, thanks for I can give you the heartwarming South African story. Any other questions, comments? Yes? Last year I tried to put on a pro versus Joe thing, where professionals, and Mike Stevens in the front row here was the anchor man on the professional team, where they were going to take on the students in one application. Yes. Well, actually, the anchor turned out to be the system that was provided by a vendor, and the system really didn't work and couldn't work. But the students were really fired up for that, and the professionals, as it turns out, got fired up themselves. A couple of them almost pulled all-nighters to try and make that system run. So that's in the works. I want to try that again, but I think what I want to do, and as a pro, tell me if this would work, I want to give the pros a chance. You go find your own hardware, and you get it staged, and we'll just tell you what application to run. That be fair? 3,000 watts? Think you can do that? Okay, because you'd have to go up against the unholy alliance of China, Germany, and Texas that got together to, what's that? Oh, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, a lot of smack talk, and Brent Gorda lost $100 to me as well. Yeah, don't always bet on the pros. Anyway, my time is well past up. If you have any other questions, I'll be at the lunch, and Stephen will be at the lunch too.